In the 1950s, LeTourneau built a machine so extreme, engineers said it was impossible. It weighed over 150 tons. It needed no blade, no chainsaw, no explosives. It simply rolled forward and the forest ceased to exist. Steel, not sharpened, not serrated, just raw, brutal force. The LeTourneau Tree Crusher did not cut. It did not slice. It did not even bother with a blade. Instead, two enormous steel drums, each lined with rows of 6-inch spikes called grousers, rolled forward like the wheels of a tank from some industrial nightmare. Each spike bit deep into bark and wood. No finesse, no hesitation. The bark sheared away in an instant. The trunk, up to 18 inches thick, buckled under the pressure. The entire tree collapsed, splintered, flattened into the forest floor. One pass. Nothing left standing. The crushing drums weighed more than most bulldozers. Together, they carried the full 150-ton mass of the machine. The entire weight pressed down through those spiked rollers, channeling every ounce of force into the timber below. There was no cutting edge to dull, no teeth to break. Each rotation of the drum mashed trunks, branches, and roots into pulp. The debris did not slow it down. The rollers simply churned it under, leaving a trail of shattered wood and mangled stumps. The tree crusher's method was pure mechanical violence. Where a bulldozer hesitated at thick stands, this machine rolled straight through. Trees that would have stopped a chainsaw or snapped a blade were crushed flat, their remains pushed aside by the same relentless drums. The spiked grousers never lost their grip. They shredded bark, chewed through knots, and left nothing but splinters. There was nothing subtle about the process. The ground shook. The air filled with the sound of cracking timber. In East Texas, witnesses watched entire groves vanish in minutes. The company claimed it could clear 9 acres an hour. An entire football field erased every 10 minutes. The secret was not speed. It was unstoppable force, delivered by a machine that did not care what stood in its way. Subscribe for more lost giants of American industry. Demand for brute force land clearing exploded after World War II. 3 markets stepped forward, each with its own appetite for destruction. Farmland investors wanted every inch of forest gone, fast. They needed fields, not trees, and they needed them yesterday. Timber companies and new settlers in the American South eyed pine and cypress groves as obstacles, not resources. Oil prospectors had no patience for dense undergrowth. They needed drilling pads and pipeline corridors carved through miles of tangled woodland. Every day, a stand of timber stood in their way. Money bled away. Then came the military. Army planners, staring at the dense jungles of Southeast Asia, needed landing zones cleared for helicopters, supply bases, and roads. Conventional bulldozers stalled in the mud or snapped their blades. Chainsaws and hand crews moved too slowly. The answer had to be something different, something that did not cut, did not saw, did not even try to uproot. It had to erase the forest in one pass. This is where LeTourneau's vision clicked into place. He saw opportunity in the land rush. He saw a machine that did not bother with finesse, only raw force. The tree crusher's 150-ton weight, electric drive, and spiked steel drums offered an answer to problems money alone could not solve. The markets were ready to pay for speed and certainty. In Texas, Louisiana, and the swamps of Florida, the tree crusher flattened groves that would have taken months to clear by hand. In Vietnam, it rolled through jungle that had stopped American armor cold. For a brief moment, the world demanded machines that could turn forests into bare ground at industrial speed. Investors, oilmen, and generals all signed up. The tree crusher was built for them, an answer to the hunger for land, oil, and tactical advantage. The cost was high, the controversy higher, but for those who needed the job done, Nothing else came close. 150 tons. That's what it took to crush a forest, and LeTourneau knew it. No blade, no teeth, just mass, raw, unfiltered weight, rolling forward on spiked drums. But moving that much steel through tangled woods was no ordinary feat. Conventional engines and gearboxes would have snapped under the strain. LeTourneau refused to let mechanical limits hold him back. He turned to electric drive, a gamble that set his machine apart from every bulldozer on Earth. At the core sat two diesel generators, each the size of a small car. Their only job, pump electricity straight to the wheels. Not just any wheels. These were monsters, each one built around its own electric motor. 4 hub motors were sealed inside the wheels themselves, each delivering instant torque. No drive shafts, no transmission to jam or snap. When the operator pressed the throttle, current surged from the generators to the motors, and the entire 150-ton mass lurched forward in silence, except for the low thrum of power. LeTourneau's design came straight from his own patents. He had spent years perfecting the electric wheel, first for wartime tractors, then for machines like this. The tree crusher was the ultimate test. Electric drive gave it more than brute force. It gave control. Each wheel could be powered or braked on command, letting the operator steer this behemoth through swamps, mud, and dense timber. The system could deliver all that weight directly onto the spiked drums, pressing every pound into the trunks below. No other land-clearing machine had ever tried it. Diesel-electric drive was rare, risky, and expensive. But for LeTourneau, it was the only way to make 150 tons move like a predator, not a plow. The result? A machine that didn't just flatten trees, it erased them. And it did it with a powertrain that was decades ahead of its time. 9 acres an hour. That was the promise. LeTourneau's tree crusher could erase a football field every 10 minutes. No blade, no teeth, just raw force delivered by spiked steel drums. The claim sounded impossible. For decades, bulldozers were the kings of land clearing. A Caterpillar D8 could manage maybe 2-3 acres in an hour if the forest was thin. Even the best LeTourneau crawler tractors topped out at 5. But the tree crusher wasn't built to match those numbers. It was built to destroy them. The secret wasn't speed, it was total, unstoppable contact. Each drum crushed everything in its path: trunks, roots, undergrowth, leaving nothing but mulch and splinters. Where a bulldozer had to cut, push, reverse, and repeat, the crusher just rolled. No backing up, no repositioning. Every foot forward meant another swath of forest flattened. The machine's 150-ton weight pressed down through those spikes, making every inch count. No other land-clearing machine could match the output. Not even close. But the 9-acre figure came from company brochures, not independent tests. Field crews in Texas and Louisiana measured real progress in acres per day, not per hour. Army engineers in Vietnam reported clearing rates of several acres a day, not 9 in 60 minutes. The difference was more than marketing. It was the gap between perfect conditions and real-world mud, stumps, and tangled brush. Still, even at half the advertised rate, the tree crusher outclassed anything else on the ground. Bulldozers stalled, chainsaws jammed. The crusher kept rolling, flattening everything in its path. The numbers set a new bar for what brute force could achieve. 9 acres an hour became a rallying cry for progress and a warning for anyone worried about what would be left behind. The next question: who built this monster, and what kind of factory could produce it? Longview, Texas, the heart of LeTourneau's empire. Inside those factory walls, American industry flexed its muscle on a scale few could match. This wasn't just another assembly line. It was a war-forged powerhouse. During World War II, The Longview plant supplied nearly 70% of the earth-moving equipment used by Allied forces. Bulldozers, tank transporters, and heavy tractors rolled out by the thousands. The same steel bays that built machines for battle now turned to a new challenge, flattening forests at industrial speed. The tree crusher was born in this crucible. Massive steel frames, each one welded by hand, spanned the length of the factory floor. Overhead cranes lifted spiked drums, 12 feet in diameter, into place. Diesel-electric generators the size of cars waited nearby, ready to be fitted to the chassis. Every component was oversized. Every weld, every bolt, every cable was built for punishment. Photographs from the Texas History Collection show rows of workers dwarfed by the machines they assembled. The scale is staggering. This was heavy industry at its peak. No shortcuts, no compromises. The workforce brought wartime discipline to peacetime ambition. Welders, machinists, and engineers who once rushed to meet military quotas now chased a different kind of record, the world's most powerful land-clearing machine. Retooling the plant for the tree crusher meant adapting to new demands: giant rollers instead of tank hulls, electric drive bays instead of armor plating. The transition was seamless. The know-how that built the arsenal of democracy now built the arsenal of deforestation. No other factory in America could have produced something like the tree crusher. The Longview plant was more than a workplace. It was a monument to scale, speed, and American determination. From this industrial giant came a machine that would soon be tested against the forests of East Texas and the limits of what man and metal could achieve. September 27, 1967. East Texas. The tree crusher rolled out for its first full-scale trial. Army engineers and company men watched as the spiked drums met living timber. The machine did not hesitate. Trees up to 18 inches thick fell flat, crushed beneath 150 tons of steel. The grousers bit deep, splintered trunks, and churned the forest into pulp. The diesel-electric drive system delivered steady torque. No overheating, no stalls. The test crew logged the results. Success by every technical measure. But not every field proved so forgiving. In Vietnam, the Army leased 2 G-175 tree crushers and shipped them into the jungle. Here, the machine faced heat, humidity, and endless mud. Operators from the 1st Logistical Command fought to keep the crushers moving. The diesel generators overheated. The electric motors ran hot. Clearing rates dropped to a few acres a day. The jungle did not yield as easily as Texas pine. Mechanics worked around the clock, patching hoses and coaxing power from the overloaded generators. Some days the machine sat idle, waiting for parts flown in from the States. Transport was another nightmare. Moving a 150-ton behemoth meant disassembling it onto 6 rail cars or shipping it in pieces across the Pacific. Every move cost time and money. The Army called the tree crusher logistically cumbersome. In the field, it was a monster, unstoppable when it ran, but too often sidelined by its own size and complexity. Rumors spread of South American contracts, giant machines flattening rainforest for cattle or crops, but no shipping records or contract papers ever surfaced. The evidence is thin. What is clear is that the tree crusher's real-world record was a mix of triumph and trouble. When it worked, nothing could match its brute force. When it failed, the cost was staggering. Operators pushed the limits, but the jungle pushed back. The promise of industrial land clearing met the reality of terrain, climate, and machine fatigue. The tree crusher's legend was forged in these battles, part miracle, part cautionary tale. The aftermath was silent, but the damage ran deep. Where the tree crusher rolled, the ground was stripped bare. Scientists later measured the fallout. 5 tons of topsoil were lost per acre every single year. That was 10 times the rate in untouched forest. Rain hammered the exposed earth, turning clearings into gullies. Roots that once anchored the soil were gone. Streams clogged with sediment. Flood risk spiked. The cost did not stop at the dirt. Wildlife vanished from these flattened corridors. Biodiversity studies tracked a drop of 30 to 40% in species richness after mechanical clearing. Birds, small mammals, and insects were gone. The forest's patchwork of habitats was erased in a matter of hours. In the 1960s, few stopped to count the losses. The numbers came later in field surveys and academic journals. The tree crusher's legacy is written not just in splintered trunks, but in the vanishing of species and the slow bleed of fertile land. Progress, measured in acres cleared, left scars that endure for generations. R.G. LeTourneau left more than steel and splinters behind. His real legacy runs through the U.S. Patent Office, 299 patents in his name. Not just bulldozers or scrapers, but the blueprints for machines that could flatten a forest in minutes. The tree crusher stands out in this record. 3 core patents tell the story. U.S. Patent 2,726,726 for the electric wheel drive. U.S. Patent 2,959,201 for the land clearing drum. And U.S. Patent 3,953,775 for the electric control system. Each one is a written record of brute force, captured in technical diagrams and legal claims. But the machines themselves are ghosts. Not a single complete tree crusher survives in any museum or private collection. The archives turn up only photographs, patent drawings, and faded operator manuals. No rusting hulk, no preserved relic. The hardware that once erased forests has vanished, leaving only paperwork and stories. LeTourneau's inventions were rare, expensive, and built for a world that demanded speed over subtlety. The tree crusher's disappearance is almost total. What remains is the inventor's reputation, an industrial visionary who gave away 90% of his income to faith and charity. The patents endure, but the machines are gone. The world remembers the scars, but not the steel. Nothing like it exists today. No blade, no teeth, just 150 tons of steel, spiked drums crushing trees 18 inches thick, 9 acres per hour, built in Longview, tested in East Texas, unleashed far from home. Critics called it reckless. LeTourneau called it vision. The debate still rages, progress or devastation. Forgotten machines leave permanent scars and permanent questions. Subscribe for more hidden history unearthed.